You're the lover of my soul. You're the Lord.
Humanity is the apex of all creation, as it is the only life form that holds the honor of existing in the image of the Creator. The development of the human person is buttressed by social, emotional, and psychological influences, all of which add up to the making of a complete being. Schools, the workplace, and the home play a prominent role, but none of these can compare with the church for the building of a robust spiritual character for God's own mirror reflection. In Zimbabwe, the Church of England occupies a special place in the hearts of the populace for the noble work it has done amongst the people since its grand entrance into Zimbabwe, called Rhodesia then. In 1891, Bishop George Knight Bruce realized his dream of setting up the first Anglican mission in a little township that had been built on either side of the Tsambe River. This little township was later called Amtale, now the city of Mtare, home of the Manicaland Diocese. The tiny mustard seed, which later sprouted and grew into the giant evergreen tree that the Anglican Church grew to be, had been sown. Today, it is anchored by 5 vibrant dioceses of Manicaland, being the initial diocese, Harare, Masvingo, Matabeleland, and Central Zimbabwe, thus fulfilling the biblical verse in Ephesians 4 verses 15 and 16, which in part read, "Bonded and knit together by every constituent point, the whole frame grows through the due activity of each part." The 5 dioceses provide the due activity of each part. The Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Manicaland comments on the trajectory of the church in Zimbabwe since its founding.
The church in Manicaland was established alongside the establishment of the Anglican Church in Zimbabwe in 1891, and St. Augustine's mission being the center for such missionary work. As you know, missionaries who came to evangelize here came through Beira in Mozambique, and Manicaland was the nearest center for them for that. Though the head office was in Salisbury, but Manicaland remained the missionary center for evangelism.
Education. The Anglican Church realized early upon its arrival into the land that the key to understanding lay in the development of education for the inhabitants. The Anglican Church has the record of being the first Christian church to build education centers in Zimbabwe. Literacy and vocation were the cornerstones, but today the services have sprouted into 8,179 schools and foundational centers. Pastoral training is also carried out at the Bishop Gall College, while high schools include the reputable St. Augustine College, St. James Nyamandlovu, Christ the King Daramombe, Co-Educational Mission, St. Patrick's Mission, St. John's Chikwaka, and St. David's Bonda Mission for Girls. St. Faith Mission, which achieved the best advanced level results for the past year 2015 nationwide, crowned the church's achievements in high school education to date. The headmaster, Mr. Moses Mkoi, had this to say.
A school is a complex entity, and you cannot take single factors and say this is what explains the good results at St. Faith's. You have a very Christian environment and a very amicable relationship where the priest in charge and the church plays a pivotal role in not just the moral education of the children, but also in the stability of the school. And extending that church influence, we have a very, very supportive diocese where we link with them, they support us, they give us advice, and that works for the benefit of the school.
The Anglican Church in Zimbabwe has embraced the universal good that places emphasis on educating the disabled children in our society. St. Mary's High School has unified their curricula to include disabled students in an atmosphere that does not isolate them from mainstream education, thus engendering confidence and sense of belonging in the learners. The girl child, for centuries the victim of patriarchal attitudes in society, has now been embraced and catered for in the Anglican school system, scoring a first for the nation with the first black female graduate and the first female medical doctor, illuminating the way for girls who were to follow. Many of the country's political, economic, academic, and professional luminaries are the alumni of Anglican educational institutions. The crowning moment of Anglican educational schemes lies in the recent groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of the Church's first university in the province of Central Africa. The Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Harare, the Right Reverend Dr. Chad Gandia, shares his sentiments.
We have done a needs assessment of what's actually required in this country. And also we have assessed what's already on offer. And we feel there is a special niche for us as Anglicans, because we are going to concentrate on the biomedical sciences.
The power of the human intellect would be of no consequence and would be less awesome in an unhealthy body. The Church has developed unbeatable quality health centers across the country at a time when medical negligence has become a cancer of its own in most health centers in Zimbabwe. The Church's own health centers at Bonda Mission Hospital and Nursing Home have been teeming sanctuaries for life and hope. In 2015 alone, the center broke a record of achieving a zero mortality rate for both mother and child. Bonda is home to the training of revered general registered nurses who have had immense influence on the quality of midwifery in the country's maternity centers. It also offers free treatment to expectant mothers and free treatment and antiretroviral drugs to patients living with HIV and AIDS. The Anglican Church in Zimbabwe has many clinics positioned around the country for communities that have little access to major hospitals. The Church reveres the sanctity of life. Christ the King Daramombe Mission Clinic and Maternity Home of the Masvingo Diocese provides a comfortable waiting service for pregnant mothers. The Diocese of Matabeleland embarked on a scheme to sink water boreholes for schools to improve sanitation and to provide a launchpad for the establishment of agricultural projects through the internal program called Foundation for Agriculture. The Diocese of Central Zimbabwe at St. Patrick's Mission is establishing a modern-day health facility that will be equipped with X-rays and dental rehabilitation units in sync with modern trends in medical facilities worldwide. The Anglican Church in Zimbabwe, like all institutions, occasionally suffered internal strife and conflicts of vision, ideological and biblical interpretations, and their direct effect on social life. The emotional storms that rose very often carried with them social toxins that threatened to rend apart the very fabric of the church order. Real strength lay not just in finding solutions to our collective differences, but in forging new, peaceful thoroughfares upon which healing and reconciliation could carry the Church into a certain stable future. In the Anglican Church, storms of past internal strife within the Church, some even lost their lives and positions, but good conquered over evil, and peace has prevailed. The Church has taken a leaf out of the book of the nation's own unprecedented national reconciliation that followed the bloodied war of freedom by forming its own peace, healing, and reconciliation program. The violent disagreements that ensued between two antagonistic factions created suffering for the congregants caught in between. for patients in hospitals, and for professionals doing duty at educational institutions. But it is with the grace of God, now a distant pole of smoke driven beyond the horizon forever by the winds of faith and good. Peace is the replacement hallmark of the church, and forgiveness is the catchphrase. The times of exile have transmuted into times of religious exhilaration, with plans for the establishment of the peace, healing and reconciliation ministry, to bury the hatchet and build a sturdier church over the burial grounds. We have created an organ that will ensure that resolutions are met, differences minimized, and healing leaves little or no scars in the minds of the followers and the general public. This instrument will not only foster understanding, but will also serve as an early warning system to the Anglican Church in Zimbabwe to prepare for any future disturbances of a similar nature. Reconciliation is the arbiter of the Church's healing process and a greater measure of its spiritual growth and maturity. Venerable Shepherd Munzara of the Diocese of Harare had this to say:
Salvation begins with forgiveness. Without forgiveness, there is no future.
Pastoral training provides the foundation for informed and accurate ministry work. The acclaimed Bishop Gall College, named after the Church's second Anglican bishop, the Right Reverend William Gall, has been the nursery of theological knowledge and pastoral leadership for many of the Church's religious leaders today. Past alumni of the Bishop Gall Theological College include, among others, the presiding primate of this province, His Grace the Most Reverend Albert Chama, the Dean of the province and the presiding Bishop of the Matabeleland Diocese, the Right Reverend Cleopas Lunga. Many pilgrims have visited the Bernard Mzeki Shrine and site of his passage into spirit, and it continues to be a rallying point among the Anglican Church's congregants. Philanthropy plays a major role in the Church, with many activities aimed at the disadvantaged in society: children's homes, old people's homes, soup kitchens, people living with terminal illnesses, cleanup exercises, and group entrepreneurial projects have collectively created a vibrant atmosphere within the Church. Errant members of society who have been incarcerated due to commission of various crimes have been receiving acts of sympathy, empathy, clemency, and social embracement in prison. These efforts have been greeted with much enthusiasm and wonderment by the nation, leaving the Anglican Church with a surging reputation for doing good work among the people. The unique Mothers' Union has seen the social education and nurturing of young mothers by the more experienced and has contributed immensely to the stability of marital unions and moral association between sexes. The pastoral desk has embraced children orphaned by HIV and AIDS and has trained many to engage in life-saving agricultural market gardening schemes and the growing of herbs, which skills they take into the life outside to sustain their own lives in adulthood. This documentary presentation was an exposé of the work and history of the Anglican Church in Zimbabwe, and a humble symbol of our hearty welcome to His Grace the Anglican Archbishop of Canterbury to the Anglican Church of the Province of Central Africa in the year of our Lord 2016.